Avant free on the FTOG server. In the last episode, we looked at the auto-crafting options inside Refined Storage, and I set up some basic recipes to show you how it worked. And since then, I've moved things around, tidied things up, and as you can see, there's now a little FTOG logo kind of thing on the floor there, which is for all the auto-crafting patterns that we'll probably ever need. In this episode, I'm thinking I might have a storage problem in the future. So, in this episode, I'm going to create a system which will sort that out automatically. So, let's get started. Now, what I was looking at doing, and I'm possibly still going to do it, you can see that I moved the disk drive into this little area, and I've hollowed out another logo. And what I was thinking was setting up drives in all of these locations, but it actually still appears that you can't rotate these so they face upwards. They just go around in circles. So, not quite as cool as I would have liked, because it would be cool if they were actually facing up and you could see them. But still, reasonably good. And if I don't like it, I can always move it later. So, what I'm going to do now is craft up the drives plus the integrated dynamics circuitry stuff we need for this build. Most of it's what you've already seen, so I won't do it again. But once I've done it, I'll be back. And display panel. We've got some cabling. We should have a store somewhere. We do look at that. And some variable cards would also be helpful. And what's the thingy called again? It's a logic programmer. I should have that here somewhere. Yes, there it is. Okay. So, what we need to do is we go into here. We're going to define initially. We need to set some variables up. So, oh, and I need my labeler as well, so we can label these variables. Label. Okay. So try that again. So, firstly, we're going to need a minimum number. So, integer. We'll set it to a minimum of 2. Because we want to make sure we always have at least 2 in stock. We'll call this guy intMin. Stick that there. Did it name it? It doesn't. Still having that problem where it doesn't quite name it properly. We also need to create a item. Oh, actually, you know what we will need? We will need from in here, empty one of these guys. I'm assuming it's empty. It doesn't say, which is odd because it normally says. Is it empty? Nope. The one I took out was not empty. What's going on? Okay, it's just being weird, that's all. I need an empty one, so that's a 4K there, so we'll use the 4K that's empty. Stick that, just double check that. So that's, as you can see from the MBT data at the bottom, stored equals 0. In my single player, it actually shows stored 0 at the top, so I don't know quite what's going on there, but anyway. We go into here. I wonder if it shows it now. No. So what we want to do is we want to make an item. Go to the bottom. Place that guy into there. And we'll call it that. It's itmDisk. Do it twice. So we got the minimum and the disk. We will also need to create an operator. And we will be calling it MBT. That one there. Now what this one does is it checks, it compares two items. and includes the NBT data. And as I said, it's currently set to stored 0. So that's really important because, of course, we need to know that to know it's empty disk. And the plan is to make it so that if there are less than 2 empty disks in the system, it'll craft another one and insert it into the drives. So that's why we need to have the equals here. We need to put that guy there, and we'll call this an opNBTCheck, like that. Always do it twice, and that should be that for now. We also need to have a reader. Do I have any spare readers? Readers. We have plenty of readers. Cool. And what we're going to do is place the reader on. What can we put it on? In theory, I can actually put the reader on one of these guys. In fact, let's do that because I can always move it later. So move that there, place the reader on there, give it a cable. And as I said in a previous episode, they've added in at the bottom here all of these RS or refined storage items, and you can see it's got craftable items, crafting items, and missing items. So if there's something being crafted, plus you've got your items that are in the network. Actually, first thing we should do, let's create a storage bus. Storage? Do we have storage in here? No, we don't. Okay, so let's just create a storage. External storage, that's what we're after. What don't I have that? Everything. No, okay, just the top two. Destruction and construction. So 2 cores. Make 1 core, start, and the other core, start. And of course, I've already set all those up to do their thing, which makes it a lot easier. There's one of them, and the other one should be any moment now. There it is. That's the external storage. And what we can do, and all of these are going to have them on it. I want to set it up kind of in a sub-network fashion, so I might actually have to take this off temporarily and place it on there. Oops, I want that reader. Come back, Mr. Reader. Okay. So what we'll do is we put this into a subnetwork, and which means I need another controller, which wasn't that hard to make, was it? So let's make one of those, controller. One more on, start. Let's set it into there. Gives us another controller, which should allow us to make a subnetwork. So let's dump that onto there. Okay, so I've struck a small issue. It looks like you can't actually have a subnetwork at the moment. Even though this seems like it shouldn't connect, the moment I place this controller down, the one over here drops off. For example, do that, it becomes active, but now this one here has popped off as well. If I place that there, right, so it comes off, and we grab this, and place it over here, it provides access to everything. Which is a bit of a problem, because that means I can't actually have a separate little storage network here at the moment without some form of external interaction. I think what I'm trying to do will still be possible, it just might need a little bit of tweaking. So what I'll do is I'll put this guy back over there, and I'll take that off, because obviously we can't have both of them running. Let's place that there. Where'd the other one go? Oh, it's in my inventory there. So I've got a spare controller at the moment, which is a bit of a nuisance, but I hope they may fix it in the future version. So if you're watching this in the future and yours doesn't pop off, then you'll need to probably set up different external storages, but I think that might be an advantage in this case, maybe, because I could probably do, if I take that off, let's get rid of that, I don't need power over here anymore. Might have to do that and place that onto like that, because it's still seeing the signal through that. We can actually connect it up, so it'll be a bit easier to work with. And of course, every single one of these disk drives will need an external storage, so you can see the contents of all these disks here. However, what we also need to do is, as I was saying, we need to place in a reader just on any one of these devices. So it doesn't really matter which one. So for now, we'll just put it there though with a cable, which is there. Cable there. Open it up, and we want to look at the items. So you could do it that way. So as you can see all the items inside there. But that would mean you'd have to have multiple inventory readers on all of them, which isn't really that helpful. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to use the RS network items. And as you can see, it's got string, clay, and all that stuff. Stick that into there. Can I label that now? Grab the label out. Label. Place it into there, and we will call it lstReader. No? Why don't we try a different card? Still seems to like diamond. lstReader. Right. Okay, so we can name it that way. We place it into this guy. There. Stays named. Okay, so it has to be named before you do it. And we'll clear this guy out so that it's not confusing later on. And what we'll do now is we have those defined. Next thing we want to do is really the meat of the program. So we've got all the definitions. So what do we got here? We have the reader. Those are the items from the reader. We have the operator of NBTCheck. We have the disk itself, which is this guy here, and a minimum number, which of course is 2. So those are our main definitions that we need to have at this point. So in order to use them, the first thing we want to do is we want to filter down the list of all items just down to all of the storage disks. So to do that, the first thing we want to do is apply the operator. We want to make it so that it applies the 4K storage disk. So it's basically, does this 4K storage disk equal the item we're checking? So that's what we're doing here. Place it into there, and we will call this one opIsDisk. because that's what we're checking for. We're checking to see if the item web is actually a disk. We'll name it twice. Once we've done that, we now want to use that value. So we want to filter using our one we just did, which is this one here, isDisk. So we want to apply this rule to every single item in our list. So we put our lstReader in there, and of course that will now give us a final list where it's only the 4K storage disks. So we will call this one here lstDisks. Name it twice. So now, of course, the list will only contain the disks. So let's just place down some of these just to show you how it's all working. I'll place the variable store probably there, should be fine. We will stick the isDisk into here, the item into there, our minimum number we'll put there, the MBT operator will be there, and the reader items we'll put under there. And then of course we will grab our display panel, stick it there, and just make it show the disks. And at the moment there are no disks at all in the system, which probably means there are no empty disks. Is that what it's saying? Let's have a look. 16, 4K. Yep, so all the 4K disks is currently empty, but if we place this guy back in there, which I don't know why it's not. Okay. If we now go down here, it should say 4K storage disk. Awesome. And of course, it'll just show, if there's 5 storage disks, it'll show 5 different storage disks. What we want to do now, though, is grab this one. We will stick it into here, and we want to find the length of it. So it's this double pipe, because it's based on a list. We place that into there, give it a number, and this is going to be int number of disks, because that'll be the length of the thing. So if there are 5 disks in the system, it'll return the number 5. If there's 1 disk in the system, it'll return number 1. So as I said, we'll go into here, place this into there. It'll probably error because I haven't put this guy into there. And there you go. So there's now 1 in there. If we take out one of them, or the one that's actually empty, remember, of course, we have another 4K in here, but the MBT data says it's storing 3,695. So that isn't included because the MBT doesn't match. It has to have exactly 0 for it to match. If we go into here, you can now see it's 0. So that's working pretty well. We'll go into there, put that guy back because we don't need to worry about it anymore. I don't know what's happening when that's weird. What we'll do is I'm going to make a copy of this disk though, or this card, sorry. Put that into there, put it into there, copy it, and then keep this guy, which both of them have been changed names. Can I rename them afterwards? Let's have a look. Put that into there, and we'll call this one intNumDisks. No, okay, that's fine. I'll do it back in the oh, I can't do it in there either. Oh, actually I can. Let's do it. Let's just do them separate things. It's probably quicker. Length. This guy into there. That guy into there. And we'll call this guy intNumDisks. Take it out, put it back in, take it out. It's one of them, and then this guy here is the same. Got 2 number disks, but that doesn't really matter. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick. Let me just grab the wrench from in here. pieces off. Can I do that? Apparently not. Okay. So what I actually want to do is place this in the middle. That's what this little middle piece is for. So place that there and put that on top. So if we put this one, it doesn't matter which one, into there, it'll now say the variable's not in the network. That's fine because we haven't put that back in. So now it should say 1 because of course there's one empty disk in here. And so that's the number. Easy enough, right? Next thing we want to do though is we want to say if that number is less than our minimum. So let's look for the LT, I think it is. No, how about less than? Less than. We want this number. Oh, we need our number from here, don't we? The minimum. We haven't actually used that yet. That's what we're basing it on. So less than. If it's less than so that's the number of disks, and we want the minimum. So if this number is less than the minimum, then we'll put that into there. We will call this one bolLtMin. So that number is now will be true if there's less than it. So if we just test it on here, it'll fail because the variable's not there. That's fine. Let's put the minimum back in and our number of disks. And now, of course, you can see it's true because there is less than 2 actually in the system. And I don't have another one to test that, so it's a bit hard to work with. The last thing I want to do is grab this one back out. Put that back in. Now the tricky part here is we have to be able to tell it that it has to craft something up. Now, I cannot find a way of doing an if statement using this where it doesn't return something else. So what it looks like we have to do is create an item right at the bottom here. Just something random. It doesn't have to be anything specific, as long as it's not in the network, not craftable in the network. And I can't see me crafting a controller, so we'll call this one itmNull. If the mod authors know, or anybody knows how to return just a single value, then please let me know. But if we go into here, we'll call that guy null. Oh, that worked first time. And then of course we'll go to the choice. So if we go in and we say bool less than minimum, so that's either true or false. So if it's true, it returns this value. If it's false, it returns this value. The problem, however, is if we put just our we need to take our disk back out because that's what we need to craft up. Go back into here. Choice. Less than minimum. We want to return this value, which would mean we want to return the disk. And you can see it doesn't let us populate this value. So we're going to call this itmToCraft. But as you can see, it doesn't let us populate it because this value is not set. So it doesn't return null, and it doesn't seem to be a null option or a way of saying error or something. So you have to have something defined, which is a bit of a flaw. However, that's why we created this guy here. Place that into there, it ticks it. Now pull this guy out. And now we've got an item to craft. So if we just once again test this out, place that into there. We will place these guys back. So itmNull is a definition. Bool is less than. Let's move that up to there. Put that there. itmDisk. As you can see, it would now create a storage disk. And this is where the interesting part of refined storage comes in, because we can make an inventory writer, which in the past I didn't know how it worked, but the newer version has some cool features to it. So we need one of those, one of these, and this is where the magic happens. So we once again face it towards the system. It has to be an existing machine. Oh, can I place it against that, I wonder? And we need to go to cable. Like that. Might work. So, we'll connect it up. To there. And now, what we can actually do is say, and grab this guy, which I didn't actually grab out. Put that one back. We can now go into here and say, bottom here you can see it's got rsCraftItem. This one takes a specific item, and it will trigger a crafting job for that item. This one here takes a list and triggers a crafting job for all the given items. You can also set it up so it cancels all the jobs, a specific job, or a list of jobs. In this case, we just need it to do the top one. And in here, you can change it to skip if it's crafting and skip if it's in storage. I believe by default it's set to skip if crafting, but skip if in storage continues on. Which should mean that, of course, because we have it in the storage bus thing, oh, can't get out here, it won't actually, it'll still craft it. Now the only problem, of course, is that currently I don't have any of those recipe'd. This guy, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll make up the 4K. And now we should be able to go over to here and it should start crafting. There you go. So as you can see, it started crafting up all the items it needs to make another disk. And of course over here, when it's made it, this will go to 2. Now one of the other things I probably should do, let's grab our empty disk, that one, just for a moment. And I'm just going to make it so that it stores those in here with a high priority. And this will have to be set on each of the external storages against these. So every disk drive will have a external storage. It doesn't need any of the other stuff that's here, just the external storage and the drive. And of course it will need to have a priority set so that it can, it'll place stuff in there. Because what we can do now is if we place this back into there, you'll see it'll actually put it into here. And that's what we want. So once it's made it, it'll insert it automatically into here. So how's this guy going? Okay, so once that's finished, or at least close to finishing, I'll come back so you can see what it's actually done. Okay, there you go, it's done. And if we go over to here, this number is now 2. And in here, there's now an extra 4K. So the moment we started using the that disk, so the moment it runs out of this one here, which is a while away yet. Well, actually, it's not that far away, but anyway, once that runs out, it'll then start filling this one. Actually, it'll start filling that one. Is there anything on that? Okay. It'll start filling this one, and then of course this number will go down to 1, so then it will fill the next one. Okay, so one last thing I've done is I've made it so it shows the number of free slots, just by giving the total number of slots in the drives, which should be about 128, minus the number of 4K disks. It doesn't account for the 1K disks, but can always change the number or do some real magic if I need to work those out. But otherwise, I'll end the episode here. If you liked the video or learned anything from it, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, feel free to have a look around, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to go check out the other YouTubers on the server. But otherwise, have a great day, and see ya!